this part, I'm downloading the snow character from Blender Studio's character library and opening it in Blender. Normally, preparing a complex character like this for Mixamo is a nightmare. You'd have to clean up all the rigs and join every mesh manually. With KnitMotion, I just click Export for Mixamo, upload the OBJ to Mixamo, and let the auto rigger do its job. Then I bring it back into Blender, restore all the materials with one click, and package the character into a clean new scene, fully rigged, with its animation ready to go. This part is a full tour of KnitMotion's core animation system, assigning completely different animations to multiple characters in the same scene, and even mirroring any animation with a single click using Symmetry. Everything you'd normally spend hours doing in the NLA, done in seconds. In this part, I combine looped animations with bake action and rig them instantly using KnitRig's Create Control Rig with full IKFK switching. In this part, I create Bezier and path curves. And with one click on Walk Along Path, the character follows any route with full speed control. In this part, I download free Rokoko Mocap animations, transfer them to my own character, and blend them seamlessly with Mixamo animations. Final part, I rig the spring character through Mixamo, package it into a clean scene, loop its happy walk, and animate a follow camera. Then I record the result and bring it into Google Flow for AI video. Let's take a look at how to install the KnitMotion add-on. After downloading and extracting the add-on zip file, you'll see two files inside. This one is for the rigging system, and this one is for editing our animations. Inside KnitMotion, there's a guide where we explain all the details, like this. You can check all of these out. The file we're going to install is right here. Similarly, the KnitRig file is here as well. Now I'm going to install KnitMotion and KnitRig into Blender. Go to Edit is greater than Preferences, and from here, click Install. On the desktop, I go into the KnitMotion folder, and when I double-click KnitMotion, it's now installed. Now let's install KnitRig as well. Desktop, KnitMotion folder, KnitRig, and KnitRig is now installed too. So where can I see these? When I press the N key on the right side, you can see KnitMotion and KnitRig are now installed. Now let's take a look at the details of KnitMotion together. Let me clear the scene. First of all, sometimes when we import FBX files, you might run into an error like this. There's a very easy way to fix this error. You can take a screenshot of it and paste it into any AI tool. The AI will very quickly give you a suggestion like this. Let me show you the suggestion. Any AI will tell you that Python needs to be updated. Once you apply this update, the error will be fixed. Export any character to Mixamo with one click. First of all, we usually run into problems when uploading a custom character to Mixamo. We've built a panel that solves this problem and all the other mesh issues. We figured out how to bring in an external character without any mesh problems, and we've tied it all to a single panel. Now, let's use a sample Blender character for this. I'm going to the website, I'll pick a character from the character library on Blender Studio. For example, I'm choosing the snow character, and I'm downloading it. I've downloaded the snow character. Now I'm opening the snow character, and I'll open it in Blender. It opens in a new file. Yes, you can click Ignore here. As you can see, the snow character is very layered, very dense down here. You've got the faces and all that. It's a really complex character. But I want to reuse it in Mixamo with all of its meshes. Setting this up can actually turn into a real nightmare. You need to clean up all of its rigs. And even after you clean up all the rigs, you still need to join all the meshes back together for Mixamo to accept it. We've solved this with a single button. Let me quickly show you. All we need to do here is, after opening the KnitMotion add-on, go to the Mixamo characters section and click the Export from Mixamo button. Now, instead of doing this in pose mode, I usually prefer to use it in object mode. Once I'm in object mode export from Mixamo, and it even shows a detailed description right here, the moment I click Export from Mixamo, it prepares everything and outputs it to the panel for us. I'm naming this one Addon. You can export it in two formats here, one as OBJ and one as FBX. But when you export as FBX, sometimes it can't create all the meshes separately. That's why we recommend using OBJ. We've already marked OBJ as the recommended option. We click Export from Mixamo. That's all you need to do. Then, when I go to the Mixamo page, this is Adobe's platform where the characters, the animations, everything is completely free. I click the Sign In button. You can sign up with anything. I prefer Gmail. Once Mixamo opens, I click Upload Character. From here, I click Select, and I choose the Addon OBJ we just exported. Once our character comes in, the auto rigging system starts working. Now we click Next. Here, I click Continue, and yes, you'll see our character has arrived. As you can see from the preview animation, our character has been rigged. Now my character is in the scene. From this point on, we can apply any animation we want to our character. For example, let's keep it basic. I'll pick a walking animation. Like this, walking. My character's doing the walk animation. I'm downloading it. We'll download it with skin, but for the next animations, we can also download them without skin. Downloading. Our character is the Addon character, the snow character. I'm importing the original snow character. I click Ignore. Now our character is here. Now this, using Import FBX, I've brought in what we made in Mixamo earlier, right here. I'm moving it to the side. Right now, my character has no mesh. I want to transfer all of these meshes over to it. If you want, you can do it one by one here. Like this, when I click Link Mesh, they come in with link material, but that's very time-consuming, exhausting, and you might even miss some of them. Instead, after selecting all of them like this, when I click Restore Material, it brings all of them over. Everything's great so far, but I don't want to work in this scene, I want to work in a new scene. After selecting everything, when I click Package Character, it grabs all the meshes that belong to it. If I name it Snow, PA, here, I've saved it. Now I don't even need to open a new scene. I came back. Our Snow PA is sitting right here. I double-clicked it. I don't need to save this anymore. A warning popped up here. My character is now in a new scene with all of its meshes. If you look at the right side, all of that clutter is gone too. When I click Load Action, you'll see that my character is now here along with its animation. And that's it. Knit motion core features: loops, speed, blending, and multi-character animation. I'm importing the fast run, look back, and walking animations. As you can see, our character is here. I'm moving these to the side with G and X. All right, now let's look at our animations. As you can see, it's working. Let me move this one step to the side. There we go. Now we're getting into the add-on's main features. I open Knit Motion with the N key. The moment we click Load Action, 3 animations get listed. First, I want to clearly walk you through this. The first part is the field where you can rename things. For example, the moment I click, you can see the selected ones. We'll name the first one Walk. You can move up and down with the arrow keys. Let's rename it first. Let's go in order. We name this one Walk. We'll put Run in the second slot. We can switch directly with the arrow keys. Number 2, I typed Run. Okay. Number 3, I'm renaming it. I typed Look Back, hit Enter, and clicked OK. Here, it shows the frame count, as you can see. In Place, we had a lot of requests for this in our previous versions, so we improved In Place and added it back. Repeat Count, Speed. We also added speed because you might want it slower or faster. Height and rotation. Now, to avoid any confusion, let's start with just one of them. I'm shrinking the panel a bit. I selected the armature. Right now, I only want to work with Walk, so I sent the other 2 animations to the inactive section. In the Walk section, if I want it to play in place, I open my non-liner animation, NLA, editor like this. I set it to 0. If I want it to move in place, all I have to do is click in place. The moment I click send to NLA, the character will move in place. As you can see, let me pan to the side. Okay, now I want it to repeat more. I want 10 repeats. When I press send, as you can see in the NLA, they're all lined up. I'm balancing my character slightly like this. As you can see, the character keeps going like this. However, at the transitions right around here, you can notice a slight bump up and down. We solve this with the smooth button. The moment you click the smooth button, it will give you a seamless transition between loop repeats. I'm going back to the start. Now I'm watching it again. As you can see, the head movement continues smoothly. You can increase this infinitely, and the animation keeps going like this. Let's say I'm back at the panel. Let's say I want to increase the speed. This goes in steps like 2x, 3x. The moment I set it to 2x and click send to NLA, as you can see, it got compressed, just like YouTube videos. I go back to the start and play it at normal speed again. Now it's moving much faster. Let's exaggerate it. Let me narrow the panel so we can see everything. Let's exaggerate and set the speed to 5x. The moment I press send, this is how fast it gets. So, can I slow it down? Of course. In that case, we'll go with decimal values. Let's say I set it to 0.5 and pressed send. This time, my character will look like it's moving in slow motion. This is a handy feature. Another feature, I'm coming back in front of my character. If you pay attention with some Mixamo characters or a character you've uploaded, the hand can clip through the mesh. For that, you can use arm space. Arm space 0 is the current state. After setting it to 10 and pressing send, you'll see the arms widen. Now the arms move with more space. This is just one of the many things you can do for a single animation and its loops. You can adjust the height. I'm setting speed back to 0. With rotation, we can also rotate at any angle on the z-axis. For example, when I give it a 30-degree rotation, the character will move at a 30-degree angle. In a single loop, this might not make much difference, but when the next animations are blended together, you'll see the difference. Now, my other two animations. Since I have my armature, I don't actually need these. The animations are already sitting in the inactive section when I click load action. I move them up. I don't need these armatures anymore either, so I'm deleting them. I came back, selected my character. I have 3 animations here. I'm going to combine them. This can be done very easily. I check the settings, everything is stable, fixed. The only thing we need to do right away, I'm setting arm space back to 0. The moment I click send to NLA, my character disappeared. Why? Because it's probably moving. Let me rotate to the side, close the panel with N. There it is. As you can see, it's moving flawlessly. Okay. I want to increase the counts. Let the walk repeat be 5, the run, and at the end, let it turn and look back once. The moment I press send, as you can see, they're all lined up. Now, let me set the timeline to 428 and watch it again. I close the panel with N and go back to the start. There we go. As you can see, the character is moving flawlessly. Now it's about to start running, and then let's watch from a distance. Yes, it continued its movement flawlessly. As you can see, the ground issue from the previous versions is completely fixed. Now, in any animation transition, the character's contact with the ground is calculated precisely, and it moves with its feet planted perfectly on the ground. Now let's move on to another feature, assigning different animations to characters. Right now there are 3 different characters in the scene, and I want to assign animations to them. I want the first character to only walk and to do 10 repeats in total. When I press send, all of the first character's animations are placed. This way, even though the other animations end, my character keeps going. I want to assign only the run to my second character. So I move the run up. Since all the animations in the list would get applied, let's keep only the run. Since running is faster, let me give it 20 repeats. The moment I press send, it assigned the run to the selected character. I play it again. Let me narrow this a bit so we can see more comfortably. I'm zooming out a bit. As you can see, my second character is running and my first character is walking. For the third character, I want to assign a more complex set of animations. So after selecting my third character, don't forget this, first let it run, 3 repeats is enough. Then let it walk, that should be 3 repeats too. And then, sorry, I made a mistake. Look, back should be 1 repeat at the end. The walk should be 3 repeats for my third character, and I click send. Now I open the panel with N, let's take a look. All the strips are placed here, 1 set for each character. I go back and play it. As you can see, each one did the tasks I assigned. Pay attention to this overlap here. While my third character starts walking, the other character keeps running because I only loaded the run animation onto it. And my first character just keeps walking because I only added the walk animation to it. This way, you can assign different animations to every character you bring into the scene. We can even bring in a different character. We had our Addon character. I'm bringing the Addon character into the scene. I'm moving him to the right side as well. For it to work more reliably, it's better to download separate animations for this character. When I click Load Action Look, Addon's animation came in too. Let Addon do 5 repeats as well. I'm moving the others down. The moment I click on Addon, Addon will now continue his walk here with 5 repeats. We're not entirely sure how reliably this works, but for example, let's also load the run animation onto Addon. Let's make this 5 too. I don't know for sure whether it will affect his armature or not. We're about to test it. It continued and started running. If you look closely, it actually handles most of it. But while running, there's a chance of some foot sliding right here because the distances covered by the armatures are different. That's why downloading each character's animations directly from Mixamo will give you much better results. We can use the Symmetry feature here. For this, I'm bringing a new animation into the scene, left turn. Let me move this to the side too. As you can see, our character turns to the left. Now, first I brought the new one in with load action. Let me name this one turn, because we'll decide ourselves whether it goes right or left. By default, it turns left first. When I combine this actually, to keep it from getting too crowded, let's do it together with just the walk. I selected the armatures. I don't need this one anymore either. I selected the character's armature and pressed send. It's placed in the NLA, let's see. I closed the panel with N, zooming in a bit. There it is, and my character continued by turning to the left, as you can see. So if I want it to turn right, I don't have to go find a right turn animation. All I have to do is click the symmetry button. The moment I press send again, this time it will turn right. Make characters walk along any path with one button. Making an animation move along a specific curve instead of a straight line usually requires a lot of manual setup. We've built a button for this too, and it works very fast. The only thing we need for this is to go to the Add menu, then Curve, and use either Path or Bezier. Let's start with Bezier. I'll show Path as well. When I click Bezier, it brings in a Bezier curve for us. What you need to pay attention to here is when we rotate the Bezier, we need to rotate it in the negative direction so that its head becomes the origin. When I set rotation Z to -90, I've rotated the path. Now let me come over like this to enlarge the path. I can scale it up with scale. And with G and Y, I moved its head to the origin. So right now, we have a Bezier path like this. I want the character to move along it. All we need to do for this is, with the animation selected in the add-on panel, I select my character, and then I select the path. I selected the path and clicked Walk Along Path. Now all the character strips are placed along the entire path. Let me also set the timeline to 420. I came back to my NLA editor. I pressed N, expanded the screen, and I'm playing it. As you can see, the character is moving along the path. It's giving us a really nice flow right now. That's all we need to do. Okay, let me show you the second method too. Let me do it off to the side. Add is greater than curve this time. I picked path. I moved the path aside a bit with Y and Z. I'm giving the rotation a negative value. I set rotation Z to -90. Let's zoom into the path like this to adjust it. With G and Y, I brought it over here. Then, in edit mode, I extend my path with G and Y. I extended it a bit more from here with G and Y. Then let's look at it from the top with G and X. I'm changing my path's route. Let it draw a curve like this. I came back to object mode. I also wanted to walk along a line like this. I open the add-on, the walk animation, I select my character, I selected the path, then clicked walk along path. I went back to the start, and now it keeps running along the path. So, is it just walking? With the add-on, we can play any animation along the path. For example, instead of walking, I want the character to run. I move the run up to the top. Then, select the armature, select the animation, and select the path. And now it keeps running along the path. Now, the question that comes to a lot of people's minds: can I adjust the speed? Absolutely. Using the speed here, I told it to run along the path, and now it keeps running around it in slow motion. This way, we can use any animation we want from here, rig combined animations. When you bring a Mixamo character into the scene, Mixamo actually had a very useful rig add-on for rigging that character. That add-on hasn't been updated for years, so it became outdated. As a team, we've made this add-on much more useful and improved it. Now, first of all, to rig your character, all you need to do is select the armature and click Create Control Rig. The character is now fully rigged from head to toe. Since this isn't a rigging video, I just want to show you how the rigging is done. When you go into pose mode, as you can see, all of the character's rig controls work really well, and they work together with the animation. Snap frame, snap anim, the root and IK behavior adapting to the situation. We've updated all of these really well. On top of that, we've also integrated the export features into it, and we've added extract root motion, which is specifically for game development. But since that's not the topic of this video, I'm undoing this. Actually, to show you how well the two add-ons work together, I open Knit Motion again. When I click Load Action, my animation gets listed in the scene. Let me quickly rename it to W, so we know it's the walk. Now, I want this animation to repeat 10 times with in place. When I press Send, my animation is now. Let me shrink this a bit. I'm opening the NLA editor. Right now, it's sitting as separate strips. And I clicked Smooth to get a more fluid animation. Now it's playing very smoothly. And here's the thing, I can rig this animation too. In other words, I can rig all the combined animations as well. The only thing I need to do for this is turn it into a single action with Bake Action. When I click Bake Action and hit OK, my entire animation now plays as a single strip. Just like I did a moment ago, I go to Knit Rig, select the armature, and click Create Control Rig right here. When I click Create Control Rig, my animation, the animation I combined, automatically keeps playing, now fully rigged. You can also do this with a moving animation. I'm undoing it. Back in the strips, this time I press Send without in place. My character is now walking normally. With N, when we look with N, my character is walking really nicely. Now I can rig this walking animation too. I press N to open the panel, and first I combine the separate strips with Bake Action. After combining them, all I need to do is go to Knit Rig, click Create Control Rig, and hit OK. Now my animation will play fully rigged. I press N to expand the screen. As you can see, my animation is playing with the rig. I'll explain this in detail in the Knit Rig video, but we've added some nice features. For example, in pose mode, there's now a hand close and open feature. We can close and open the hand with G. We can move it however we want with G. With snap frame, we can switch between IK and FK very quickly. For example, after doing something like this, when I snap again, it handles the IK-FK switching back and forth very quickly. You'll find this add-in included in the package anyway. Export baked animations as Mixamo-Ready FBX for Unity, Unreal, and Godot. Let's say we want our animation, the walk animation, to play in place and repeat 5 times. I pressed send. The animation is moving in place as a walk, and now I want to export it and then reuse it just like a Mixamo character. In this case, all we need to do is press the bake button, and after baking this character, when I want it to behave like a Mixamo character, I use the special button and click export as Mixamo FBX. Right here, I'm exporting it as XFBX. I exported it. It exported it with all the Mixamo properties intact. But is that really the case? Let me check right away. Import is greater than FBX in the downloads folder, XFBX. When I click import, it came in, I'm moving it to the side and playing it again. As you can see, my character is back in the scene with all of its properties. On top of that, there were a lot of highly requested export features. We've added the export options for Unity, Godot, Unreal, Web, and Custom, where you can configure your own settings. Among all these features, specifically for Unity, we've also added a fix button for strip Mixamo rig prefixes. Keep on, hips, extract root bone, in place. We've added all of these as well. Now, the moment you click export for Unity, it applies all the settings and exports it exactly the way you want. Blend Rokoko Mocap with Mixamo animations seamlessly. Working with Mocap animations. For this, let's try Rokoko first. I'm going to Rokoko from the research section. I go to Free 3D Assets. Go to Free 3D Assets, download free assets. You sign in from here. When I click Assets, it sends me to a drive link. I'm opening the Rokoko file we just downloaded. Inside the extracted folder, there's the Rokoko mocap. If you look closely here, you'll see the word Mixamo. We can use these easily. Now let's do a test. From the beginning of the first video, my Addon character is standing here with his meshes. Now what I need to do is import one of the Rokoko animations, FBX. In the downloads folder, Rokoko mocap, Rokoko Studio. From here, let's bring in a medium one related to dancing, for example. Right now, the Rokoko animation is dancing. Transferring this to my own character is very easy. I don't want my own character's walk animation when I click load action. As you can see, the Rokoko one came in. Let me specifically name it Rokoko so I don't get confused. All we need to do is what we did earlier. Select my character's armature and press send. My character is loading right now. And now my character will successfully perform this dance animation, as you can see, like this. The ground and foot contact all look great. But here's the real question. Can I connect a Mixamo animation and a Rokoko one together? Of course, we can let me widen the scene. I want to share a detail with you. Normally, Rokoko animations start with a T-pose. That's exactly why this trim T-pose start option is important. When you have it checked, it ignores that T-pose. For example, if I want Addon to dance after his walk animation here, let me type Addon walk here. The walk. Actually, I want him to dance after 2 walks. In that case, the walk is in the first slot, and then Rokoko comes next. I don't need the Rokoko armature, so I can delete it. I clicked on Addon and pressed send. Now Addon will walk first and then dance. Let's see. Let me narrow this down a bit and expand with N. He arrived and then he started dancing. As you can see, he comes in flawlessly and then starts dancing. If you want more smoothness right here, you can click on the strip and increase the blend-in value. That's the first method. The second method, the blend value here, does the same job. For example, I set it to 7, back to the start. I pressed send. Now, with a blend value of 7, it will give us a smooth transition. Let's watch it again. Addon came in and started dancing. Let's bring in another one and combine it with this. Let's see what happens. I went to Rokoko Studio, and in this one, Magic Fireball, for example. I selected Fireball, and Fireball came into the scene. I opened the panel again, clicked Load Action, and a new Rokoko clip came in. I'm naming this one Rock 2. Let the Fireball come before the dance, then the Rokoko dance. And pay special attention to selecting the armature. I don't need the Rokoko armature anymore. I clicked it and pressed send. Since the animation is a bit long, it might take a moment. Now I'm shrinking the panel, as you can see. Everything is placed into the strips. I'm zooming in on Addon, and I'm extending the timeline to 1,600. I came back to the non-line art animation editor, and I'm starting the animation. First, the walk animation played, then the fireball started. And look right here, as you'll notice, the hands are clipping into the body. To fix this, I set arm space to 10, for example, and pressed send. This is something specific to the armature of Rokoko animations. It's easy to fix too. We developed a solution for it, just like this. Now it's adjusting all the strips according to the arm spacing. Once this process is done, I pressed N to close the panel and went back to the start. My character walked, and then, as you can see, he's doing the fireball move. Let me continue, speed it up. Here comes the transition to the second animation. And then he started dancing. As you can see, all the animations are working really well. Full workflow, animate a character, add a camera and prep for AI video. This time, let's work on a different character. For this one, I'm choosing the spring character. After clicking on the spring character, you download it from here. I went ahead with the process. First, I exported my character from Blender, then I imported it into Mixamo. My character is now in Mixamo. Now I'll find a walk animation for it. Let's make the walk a bit more on the happy side. Let's take a look. Happy. This one I'm picking happy walk. As you can see, our character is walking happily. Now I'm going to download it. Now I'm bringing my character happy walking over here. All right, I moved it to the side with G and X. Now we'll load all the meshes. For this, I opened the add-on with N. I went to the Mixamo character section. With my character selected, I clicked Restore Material. As you can see, all the meshes are in place. Now I select my character. From here, package character so I can work comfortably in a new scene. I'm saving it as Spring PC. I brought my Spring package into the scene. Great. Now, as you can see, my character is standing right in front of me, ready to go. The only thing I'll do, as a reference point, I can move it back to the origin. The plan is to extend its walk and add a camera. This is very easy too. First, I open the add-on. From here, I click Load Action. Our action came in the walk animation. Let's make it 12 repeats so it keeps walking. I clicked Send. We can do this so easily now. I close the add-in again. I'm zooming out. Now my character's moving along really nicely. The problem is that the timeline isn't wide enough. I quickly check the timeline from the non-linear animation editor. We need a total time range of 395 frames. 395. All right, I'm back in the non-linear animation editor, and my character is now walking really well. Now all we need to do is add a camera here. I clicked on the camera like this, and I'm moving the camera back with G and Y. Let me go to frame 0 like this. I raised the camera up a bit with G and Z and fixed its angle with rotation X. Now let's look through the camera icon. Now I'm framing the camera from here. It's going to move together with the character. To keep them in sync, I'm looking at the frame difference between the character and the camera keyframes. There's a difference of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frames. I'll try to maintain that frame difference. When the character reaches frame 80, actually, when it reaches 100, I pull the camera back again with G and Y, keeping that 5 frame gap. I pull the camera back with the 5 frame gap. The walk continues again. After that, the camera will slide to the side and keep following the character. For this, I do G and Y, then G and X, and slide the camera to the side. Then, with rotation Z, I turn the camera back toward the character. Yes. The problem here is, from this point on with G and Y, from here, I need to key it again. I need to key G and X again and turn rotation Z back toward the character, so that in the earlier frames, the camera always looks at the same angle. Let's check quickly. It's flowing right now. Let me narrow this a bit so we can understand what we're looking at. After this, the camera will slide to the side. If this happens too fast, we can space the keyframes further apart. As you can see, it handled the angle with a slower transition, and the character keeps walking. All right, that's the situation. Now, at this point, I can export this. For that, you can use a viewport render, or you can just do a screen recording directly. I prefer taking a screen recording. This way, your video will be ready as an output. Then we'll move on to using it with AI. All right, for reference, I'll be using Google Flow. I signed in to Google Flow. The project opened. Once the project is open, we'll upload our video. I had saved it as spring.mp4. Great, my video is here. Now I'm adding this video and typing this. The character and camera angles remain unchanged. Stay true to camera movement. The environment design. The character happily walks in a forest. Produce the video using Octane render principles. Okay, that's what I want. I came over here, I'm going to change it. The character and camera angles remain unchanged. Stay true to camera movement. For environment in the style of Pixar Studio, the character is happily walking in a forest. Okay,